Just a few things I want to point out before we look at in more detail the symbols of the mockingbird, the snowman, and the mad dog. Chapter 6 we'll pretty much skip over. The main incident in chapter 6 is that Jem and Scout and Dill all try to play a trick at Boo Radley's, and as they're escaping because they get heard and Boo Radley's father shoots a gun, they run away quickly and Jem gets his pants stuck on the fence and he has to leave his pants, which get ripped, and go back to the house, and he decides to go back and get his pants, and he finds them actually fixed. And this is a key incident for Jem in his growing. Remember, Jem is ahead of Scout in terms of his building his personality from innocence to experience. And so in chapter 7, we see that Jem is going to explain what he found. So in your book, it's page 66, and him and Scout are going to have this discussion about, what did you find when you went back to get your pants that night? So let's just take a look at that here briefly. So notice he says here, there's you never told me anything about that night, but he says, there's something I didn't tell you about that night. And she's like, well, you didn't tell me anything. And what does he say? When I went back for my breeches, that's his pants there, breeches, they were all in a tangle. When I was getting out of them, I couldn't get them loose. When I went back, Jem took a deep breath, they were folded across the fence like they were expecting me. Okay, so they're folded neatly like someone was waiting. Wow, obviously, who was it? Boo Radley helps Jem. Okay, so we see Boo Radley showing kindness again, showing protection of the children. That's going to be very important at the end, and also giving gifts. So he's getting Jem out of trouble. If Jem gets caught without his pants, Atticus is going to know they were up to no good playing games around the Radley place, which he told them not to do. Okay, so that's an important incident in chapter 6 and chapter 7. And then we also see the some of the gifts that Jem was given. So page 67. They keep finding things in the tree, in the knothole in the tree. And then they find a couple other things in the knothole, which are interesting. So in your book, it's page 67, but you've got it on the screen here. So as they were, coming around by the Radley's house, they're passing the tree again here. And when our knothole stopped us again, and what do they find? They find two small images carved in soap. One was the figure of a boy, and the other wore a crude dress. Before I remembered that there was no such thing as hoodooing, I shrieked and threw them down. So Jem snatched them up. What's the matter with you? He yelled. He rubbed the figures free of red dust. These are good, he said. I've never seen any of these good. He held them down to me. They were almost perfect miniatures of two children. The boy had on shorts and a shock of soapy hair fell to his eyebrows. I looked up at Jem. A point of straight brown hair kicked downwards from his part. I'd never noticed it before. Jem looked from the girl doll to me. Girl doll wore bangs. Now, even Scout, who sees Jem all the time, didn't notice the exact way that Jem's hair goes downwards from the part at the top of his head. So that means that the couple things, okay, the person who made these dolls is very artistic and capable because it's very high quality carving. Jem said, I've never seen any carvings this good. So it's a very fine quality and very good artistic touch or sensibility. All right. So that's very important. This person is very artistic and very good at it. Also, very observant because, well, he got Jem's hair exactly right. Like very, very detailed. So whoever made these knows the children quite well. The girl doll wore bangs, so did I. So he's got Scout, also very accurately portrayed. These are us, he said. Who did 'em, you reckon? Who do we know around here who whittles, he asked. Mr. Avery. Mr. Avery just does like this, I mean carves. Mr. Avery averaged a stick of stove wood per week. He honed it down to a toothpick and chewed it. There's old Miss Stephanie Crawford, sweetheart, I said. He carves all right, but he lives down the country. When would he ever pay any attention to us? Maybe he sits on the porch and looks at us instead of Miss Stephanie. If I was him, I would. Jem stared at me so long I asked what was the matter, but got nothing, Scout, for an answer. When we went home, Jem put the dolls in his trunk. Less than 2 weeks later, we found a whole package of chewing gum, which we enjoyed. The fact that everything on the Radley place was poison having slipped Jem's memory. The following week, the knothole yielded a tarnished medal. Jem showed it to Atticus, who said it was a spelling medal. That before we were born, the Maycomb County had spelling contests and awarded medals to the winners. Atticus said someone must have lost it, and had we asked around. Jem camel kicked me when I tried to say where we found it. Jem asked Atticus if he remembered anybody who had ever won, and Atticus said no. So a couple of things, a couple more gifts, chewing gum, and now this spelling medal. Okay. So chewing gum, I mean, that's a fun gift for kids, right? It's candy. Kids love candy. Kids love gum. That's a nice gift for kids. It's very fun. Now the spelling medal shows that the person is very intelligent, even as a child. They won a spelling contest. So the child is very gifted, actually. Whoever won, it's, a top level person here. Our biggest prize appeared 4 days later. It was a pocket watch that wouldn't run on a chain with an aluminum knife. So we got a pocket watch and then a chain has an aluminum knife. You reckon it's white gold, Jem? Don't know. I'll show it to Atticus. Atticus said it would probably be worth $10, knife, chain, and all, if it were new. Did you swap with somebody at school, he asked. Oh, no, sir. Jem pulled out his grandfather's watch that Atticus let him carry once a week if Jem were careful with it. On the days he carried the watch, Jem walked on eggs. Atticus, if it's all right with you, I'd rather have this one instead. Maybe I can fix it. When the new wore off his grandfather's watch and carrying it became a day's burdensome task, Jem no longer felt the necessity of ascertaining the hour every 5 minutes. All right, so the watch is actually, like back in these days, that's pretty good. Money. $10, I don't know, that would be like $200 or $300 nowadays. Okay, so these gifts have also value, and they're very personal. Usually, if you had a pocket watch, it was passed down from the father to the son. And there's a scene where Scout is saying, like, well, why don't I get a nice gift? Something from you, because Atticus says his pocket watch is going to go to Jem. So that was a traditional father to son gift, that you would give your son your watch. And Scout, he tells her, your mom has some jewelry and a nice dress that you'll get when you're old enough, kind of thing. So all of these gifts from who? Boo Radley. Okay, they deepen our character portrait. They deepen Boo's characterization. Okay, the portrait of Boo starts to get filled in. Is he a crazy lunatic? Is he mentally ill? Seems like he's very thoughtful, very sensitive, artistic, observant, very giving. He's charitable. He's giving them nice stuff. He's thinking about what kids would like candy, gum, those kinds of things. So this deepens the portrait of Boo Radley as extremely kind and humane and thoughtful. So what is he not? He's not a monster here. Slowly it's building. And remember that in Gothic, the outcast, okay, so he's an outcast from society. Like black people too are also outcasts. Tom Robinson is going to actually be a hero. But the outcast in Gothic usually becomes the hero. The person who you don't expect, the person who's rejected by society, they become the hero. So Boo Radley is actually going to be, the surprise hero at the end. And this is going to be the clues that we get that he's already doing all these acts of kindness for the children. He's taking care of them. So you've got acts of kindness, and his final act of kindness is going to be to defend the children with his very life. Okay, so chapters 6 and 7 really deepen the portrait of Boo, give you Jem's development as he matures. He's aware that something's different. He's starting to think he knows who it is. It must be Boo Radley, but he's not quite putting all the pieces together yet. But obviously the location of the tree and so on. But Scout being younger is not quite there. As we'll see later in the court scene, Jem realizes things about the society earlier than Scout, that the society is corrupted, that the legal system is not reliable, that there's injustice and suffering in the world. And he gets really, really angry about it. But Scout doesn't really totally realize what's going on. Scout's moment of revelation and maturity will occur toward the end. Okay, so notice we're tracking, right? Jem is ahead of her because he's older. So he's going to reach his maturity level sooner than she does. All right, in the next video, we will look at the incidents with the freakish snowstorm, the fire, the snowman, and if I can fit it all in 15 minutes, the mad dog, and a little bit about mockingbirds as well. So thanks. See you soon.